Before we start this video, a large thank you to Droddy, Anthony Arbor, and Tyler Hutchison. Your support is greatly appreciated. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Alright guys, today we're going to make our first spell in our spell system, and by the end of this video you will be able to successfully cast a healing spell. So, right click, I'm going to make a new script. I'm going to call it Healing Spell, and it's going to derive from the spell item. Let's open that up. I'm also going to open my spell item script because we're going to have to make a few edits as this video goes on. So first, let's make our namespace as is per tradition. I'm going to open it up there, excellent, and then we're going to derive the healing spell from the spell item. And we forgot to derive the spell item from the item class. We're going to do that in a minute as well. Let's go over here. There we go. Item, excellent. Now we can create it as a scriptable object. Okay, so we need a way to actually create this, so let's make a create asset menu. I'm going to say menu name is equal to, and I'm just going to type in spells / healing spell. Cool. So this is actually pretty straightforward. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make an integer variable, and I'm going to call it heal amount, and this will be the amount that your player is healed when you cast the spell. Next, we're going to bring in those virtual voids. I'm going to use the method public override. Then we're going to override the attempt to cast spell, and we're going to do the same with successfully cast spell. Now, some of you may be wondering why we put the player attacker on the same game object as the model in the last video. You will see why momentarily. So we have our attempt to cast and our successfully cast functions implemented. Let's start doing some stuff. So first, I'm going to make a game object variable, and I'm going to call it instantiated warm up spell effects. And I'm going to equal that to instantiate, and we're going to instantiate the variable we have in our in the class that we're driving this from, called spell warm up effects. And I'm going to instantiate that at the animator, which we now need to add and pass through our function, which is why I told you to open up the spell item script, because we're going to have to add some things. So I'm just going to type in animator handler here, just like that. And up here, I'm going to say animator handler. I'm going to copy this because in order to say this up here, we need to say it in the base class as well. And we're also going to pass it to successfully cast spell because we're going to be using this to animate things in the future with our projectiles and such. Okay, so you're going to need to put this down here as well. And I'm going to say animator handler dot transform. Just going to get rid of this for now. Don't need this space. Okay. Next, oh, I forgot to put my... There we go. So now let's say animator handler dot play target animation, and we're going to say spell animation, and we're going to say true because we are interacting. Next, on successfully cast spell, we're going to do something similar. We're going to say game object instantiate. Oh, couldn't spell today. Instantiated spell effects is equal to instantiate, and then we're going to say spell cast effects, and we're going to also put that on the animator handler dot transform. So then we're going to say, we can actually call our player stats here if you'd like, and we're going to use this to heal the player. So let's call it up here as well because we'll use it in future for other spells. So we're going to say player stats. We need to pass it along. I'm just going to copy that, paste it down here, and you know the drill. We'll also have to put it over here as well and right here in the base class. And now we can use this to actually heal the player. And we can just say player stats dot current health is equal to player stats dot current health plus heal amount. We're actually going to make a proper function for that near the end of the video where we actually check for max health and such, but for now that's fine. So let's save that. And we're going to say debug.log up here just to make sure it works. Attempt to cast spell. And then down here, we can copy and paste that. And we could say spell cast successful. Okay, now over on our player attacker, under the attack actions region, under perform RB magic action, we can say right here, because we're checking for a weapon that's a faith caster, and then a faith spell, we can say player inventory.current spell, attempt to cast spell. And then we need to pass along the animator handler, which I do believe we have in the script, most certainly, but I think we need to call the player stats. So let's type in player stats, and up here above the awake method, I'm going to drop mine right below the player manager. And on the awake method right below the player manager, in similar fashion, I will say player stats equals get component in parent player stats. Cool. Let's save that. Next, let's make a private void successfully cast spell. And some of you might be saying right now, why are we making this again? We already have on our spell. Well, we actually want to be able to call it on an animation event, so we're going to make it here, and that's why the player attacker now rests on the same game object as the model, because then we can choose which frame of the animation we want to actually successfully cast the spell. Player inventory.current spell.successfully cast spell animator handler player stats, and then we're going to call it on an animation event. So let's create our healing spell here. I'm just going to call mine heal player. Up here on the name, I'll say heal player. Make sure you check is faith spell, because right now that's the only function we have created. If you want to make the other ones right now, go ahead. It's just the exact same logic, but obviously with different spell checks. I don't have an icon for this right now. You can put anything there you want, just so you know you have it equipped. I've also dropped in these animations, spell heal start, loop, and end. So I'm going to drag them in right now. Now, your animations could be a bit different than mine, so you don't need to copy exactly what I do, but you're going to get the general idea. We're going to put an animation event somewhere on the spell. You can even have it as just one single animation if you want. And if we make it to animation event without being hit off of the spell or damaged, then we're going to successfully cast the spell. So I'm going to set up my animations, and I'll be right back. Okay, now on heal player, I'm going to drag in these two prefab effects I have. They're just particle effects. They're actually from my other project, but they've been edited a little bit. And I'm going to make the heal amount, say, 50. And the spell animation for me will be spell underscore heal underscore start. For you, it is whatever your animation has been named. Cool. Now we're actually going to need a weapon to cast the spell. So first, let's go to the inventory and equip the spell. So on the player inventory, it will be the current spell. Just going to make it heal player. And I've gone ahead, I made a weapon called Talisman, which is I'm going to use to cast spell. It is checked off. Make sure it's checked off as a faith caster. And then you drop it on your player inventory. Make sure you drop it on the right-hand weapon and the weapon's right-hand slots. The first one has to be Talisman also, or else it won't work, because we're loading the first weapon in the right-hand slots on our current right-hand weapon when the game starts. So next, on the end of your spell here, you're going to want to put your animation event. So I'm going to go and look for a good place. That looks great. Add animation event, and we're going to say successfully cast spell. Wherever you want to put it. So when I get to that point, the spell effect will actually go off. I hit this button. Great, I heal health, but as you notice, the bar up there, the UI, is not being affected. It's not updating with our health. So I'm going to fix that real quick. So under player stats, we're going to make a new function. I'm just going to call it heal player. And we don't have it created yet. I'm going to pass along the heal amount. So let's go to our player stats scripts, and then we'll create that function real quick. Whoops, there we go, this one. All the way at the bottom here, I'm going to make a public function. We'll say public void heal player. I'm going to need an int. You're going to need to pass an amount for the amount of health you want to heal. And then we're going to say current health equals current health plus the amount you want to heal. And I'm actually just going to rename that for naming sake conventions and say heal amount, because I'm a stickler for that kind of stuff. You don't need to do that. Okay, cool. And then we're going to do a check to make sure that we're not going above our maximum health limit for our level. So if our current health is greater than max health, then we're going to say current health equals max health. And lastly, we want to update the UI of our health bar. I can't recall what the function is called, so health bar dot not update. Is it set? Yes, set current health. And we're going to pass our current health. Okay. Now save that. Go back to the player attacker. I guess I spelled this wrong. Oh, it's a capital H, my bad. Heal player, pass the heal amount. And save. And now if we go back into game again with our damaged player, if I press the heal button, there you go. We heal our health, and our health bar updates nice and neat. So guys, if you like this video, don't forget to drop a like. Helps my series get around. Also, don't forget to leave a comment to appease the YouTube algorithm gods. And if you're feeling super generous, check out my Patreon below. All support is appreciated. We finally got a nice little spell system going. We're going to keep on adding to this. In the next video, we're going to take a look at some projectiles. I will see you in the next one.